Hey, happy Monday. Margaret Lloyd here. Let's see, what are we going to talk about today? I wish you guys, if you ever have a topic you want to discuss, leave me a message in the comments section because there's lots of trauma out there. There's all sorts of different trauma. The trauma that I went through could be different from something that you went through. But we all have gone through some sort of trauma. And we need to get through it. And I know how difficult it is. Because, trust me, I've been going through this for probably close to 40 years. I know at least the trauma that I had with my ex-husband. But I may have had some before that I'm not even looking at yet. I believe that I probably had some issues growing up as a child because my parents divorced. I watched my parents fight. And that's life. But also in watching my parents fight and try to harm each other, I learned how, at that time, to take care of my brother and sister because Mom was going through her trauma, and so I took care of my brother and sister. Nobody took care of me. Nobody even taught me how to take care of them. And therefore, maybe if my mother and father had been more available, my brother'd still be alive. He died of a drug overdose back in 78, somewhere 77, 78. Maybe if our parents had been more with it. Excuse me. One thing about having windows open, you get a lot of allergies. But that's okay. It's that time of year anyhow. Excuse me. I need to take this jacket off too. All of a sudden it starts to get hot in here. Even though I have windows open and the fan going, I need to get another fan in here. But there's lots of different traumas out there. There's trauma of abuse. Excuse me. There's trauma of neglect, which I think that's what I dealt with as a child. My father was into his business. In his work, and rightfully so. Mom was a homemaker. She didn't work outside of the house until she divorced. Excuse me. But I know she tried. Didn't always do the best. But like I said, she tried. Excuse me, I hate this. I think. I'm gonna have to turn the air on. Goodness gracious. Oh man. Allergies. Allergies suck. Bear with me. This is traumatic. I don't like this. I really don't. "42. Yeah. My middle son had his 42nd birthday yesterday over in Italy. I'd love to be over there. I wouldn't be here. Wouldn't have to deal with shit here. But the different traumas, there's PTSD, there's CPTSD, complex PTSD, there's different types of trauma. There's neglect, there's uncaring, neglect, there's physical abuse, there's mental abuse, there's verbal abuse, there's just abuse, period. And that needs to stop in our world. It has to stop. It's not good for anybody. Not good for you, not good for me, not good for anybody in this whole world. Abuse and neglect should never happen. And I know that I neglected my children. I was more interested in the marriage of keeping the marriage together and not keeping my kids together. That was my fault. My dilemma. I tried to play the dutiful mother. I went to the parent-teacher conferences. I helped in the classrooms. But I wasn't there for them when they needed me. When they had the need for my time, I didn't give them my time. I ignored them. I hate myself for it. And I'm trying to do everything I can to make up for it. But it's difficult. Because I was never taught how to do differently. I raised my kids the way my parents raised me. Isn't that how most of us did? We learn from our parents. And if we didn't learn what we needed to be good parents, if we didn't get that from our parents, we just kind of kicked along, did the best we could. I know I talked to a lot of friends that had children, and I tried to hang around, be around people that were good to their kids. Because I wanted to be good to my kids. I wanted to treat them well. I wanted to give them everything they needed. And I think with Tara, up to a point, I believe I did. But I think once I met Martin, things went south. He abused me. He took over control of the children. And I had very little control, disciplining control over the kids after they got past age 5. When they got to age 5, and that's when Martin started bullying, belittling, being mean, hateful to our son. Keith was Martin's son from a previous marriage. Keith didn't really live with us that much. He would live with us for a couple of years, and then he'd start having problems in school and want to go back to his mom, and so we'd let him. And then he'd start having difficulties there, and we'd have him come back. That wasn't right. We should not have done that. Keith should have stayed either with his mother or with us. But he didn't. He went back and forth. Now he wound up, I believe Keith is in a good place. Keith got away soon enough. I was away from him long enough that he didn't deal with that. I gotta go let Snickers in. Be right back. Be right back.